House Concurrent Resolution 20, Memoriam William Patton, 1927-2011.
Recognize Senator Alan Bates.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, on January 13th of this year, with the passing of Mr. William Patton, Southern Oregon lost one of its most outstanding and important citizens. House HCR 20 memorializes one of Southern Oregon's preeminent theatrical icons and a leader of the Shakespearean Festival. Mr. Patton served as the Shakespeare Festival's first full-time employee and then general manager in 1953, and finally as executive director of the festival until 1995 when he retired. Under his leadership, the festival became the largest regional theater in the country, growing from 29 performances and an audience of 15,000 in the first year as general manager to 752 performances and 359,000 attendees in the year he retired. Under his guidance, the festival won the Tony Award for Regional Theaters in 1983. He received the Oregon Governor's Awards for the Arts in 1993. Mr. Patton did this all in a rather small, at that time, unknown town in rural Oregon, that being, of course, my beautiful home, Ashland, Oregon. This man truly brought the arts to Oregon, especially Southern Oregon. His accomplishments, zeal, passion are remarkable and worthy of memoriam. He is remembered as a kind and thoughtful man, one who was a leader in our community and who truly put Ashland, Oregon on the map and made Ashland what it is today, a wonderful place to live in a town of only 20,000 where we now have over 400,000 visitors on an annual basis to come to the Shakespearean Festival. Mr. Patton was a truly outstanding man, one we will miss, and one we will long remember. Thank you, Mr. President.
Recognize Senator Jason Atkinson.
Mr. President, I rise to join the good senator from Ashland in support of this resolution. I grew up in Ashland, and I grew up with the Patton family. It was Kim Patton, Bill's daughter, who was in my high school class, and we've been in class. We just grew up together. It's a small town. All of us kids in Ashland had an affection for or did something with Shakespeare. You can't not, because every telephone pole and light pole in Ashland is decorated. You learn to grow up with the bard, and you learn to speak the language, whether or not it affects you deeply, but notwithstanding, you're involved. There was a house manager who worked very closely with Bill Patton named Gwyn Wright. And Gwyn had two boys, Dave and Dan. And David is one of my all-time closest buddies. In fact, if there's a reason I started racing bicycles, it's because of those guys. And Gwyn was the house manager. And if you know how Shakespeare works, lighting is critical, and managing the house is very difficult. And there was this overarching presence named Bill Patton in everything that happened in Shakespeare. Many of you have been to Ashland, you've seen the plays, but what you probably don't recall is that the Elizabethan theater used to not be there. In fact, it used to be where you could just walk up on the street, look down, and watch the play. The only difference is that you got to actually sit down if you paid for a ticket. Bill Patton, if you will look in the memorial, was in lighting. He got his start making sure that everything was lit perfectly. And he was legendary. All the years I was ushering, all the years that Dave Wright used to hide me in the coat closet at the English Bomer Theater, where I would do his poetry homework in exchange for rides to Mount Ashland, were all part of growing up in Ashland around this legendary person named Bill. Now, there was a T-shirt in the day that used to have William Shakespeare's picture on it, and it said willpower. Anybody associated with Ashland or around that community knows that the picture was of Shakespeare, but willpower was Mr. Patton. In 1996, after a long battle with lupus, Gwyn passed away, and she was just an absolute sweetest woman you've ever met. And we had a memorial service for her at the new Elizabethan Theater. All of us were there. Kim Patton was there. And we looked around for Mr. Patton only to find him up in the lighting, making sure everything was perfect for Gwyn's service. He was a true professional. He was an absolute lover of art, and I'm a better man for him growing up around him and his kids. Thank you.
Further discussion? Senator Bates, do you wish to close? Question now arises upon the third reading, the final passage of HCR 20. Those in opinion bills pass, say aye. Those opposed, no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Olson, Przonski, Rosenbaum, Shields, Starr, Telfer, Thompson, Berger, Whitsett, Winters, Atkinson, Bates, Beyer, Bonamici, Boquist, Burdick, Devlin, Dingfelder, Edwards, Ferrioli, George, Gerard, Haas, Johnson, Cruz, Monas Anderson, Monroe, Morse, Nelson, President Courtney.
Yes.
Excused, Boquist, Starr, 28 ayes.
The HCR 20, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk reads the